Hello and welcome to MMA Crypt's Fighting Talk. On today's show, we'll be going 5 rounds of action from last night's UFC 171 event, featuring the price of being an American fan, Diego Sanchez versus Myles Johny, Robbie Lawler versus Johny Hendricks, our fighter and fight of the night for UFC 171, before ending the show with Matchmaking with Derek Love. Okay, joining me on today's show will be Derek Love, Greg Marshall, and Brian Hunt. Say hello to our listeners, guys.
Hey, guys.
What up, guys?
Yeah, hello, everybody.
Okay, starting things out in round 1, and the price of being an American fan. I understand you had some gripe about how much the UFC actually charged the US fans to watch a UFC pay-per-view, Brian. It would have cost you, somewhere in the estimate of $75 to watch the full UFC 171 card. Feel free to begin your rant now, Brian.
I'm pissed. It's more of a principle thing. It's just getting old as an American fan. I try not to sound arrogant because fucking us Americans are arrogant enough as it is.
Bad rep.
No, it's a legit rap. I mean, we like to try to tell everybody how they should live their lives. Versus we started it's true. Versus we started a country trying not to be told what to do. So it just that's a whole nother story. We need Rich for that one, but
we'll be 8 hours, Brian.
Yes, exactly. And we wouldn't say shit. It'd just be a fucking agenda push thing. But I feel strongly that the UFC is here today because of the American fans. It's the American fans. It's an American sport that helped it survive the dark ages. Now, yes, UK, Canada, Brazil have all made it better. And maybe the Canadian fans are some of the best fans when GSP was coming kind of back after the Sarah beat down, and they had some amazing big events. And now the UK fans are good fans, and Brazil has their own quality. So it's not a US only, but I really think it's a US based sport. So for me to watch this pay-per-view yesterday, I had to spend $50 for the pay-per-view to watch 4 fights. It was a good event. It was a good card. But on the prelims, they have it on Fox Sports too. Up here in Alaska, and I'm guessing most of the U.S., that is not a basic tier. And for my tier, it's 2 above the tier I have a cable. So I have to upgrade to 2 different tiers. The first tier is $10, and the second tier is another $5. So for some fucking reason, they like to think I have to have 300 and some fucking channels to watch Fox Sports 2. I can't just order the channel by itself.
You gotta love that shit, Brian.
Now 300. I sit on my ass enough as it is, and now you want to give me 300 fucking channels to watch UFC 2 on Fox Sports 2?
I know. Why can't you just order Fox Sports 2 on its own? Do you know what I mean? It's ridiculous. You have to get it part of the deal.
It is.
Well, carry on, Brian. Sorry, I cut you off.
All right, it's 2 tiers or deals above what I have to do. So that's an additional $15 a month to get a whole bunch of more fucking channels that I really don't want. And then the fucking Fight Pass. So now I have to spend $10 on top of that to watch the first couple fights. So they've just made it harder and harder and harder for me to watch the fights. I mean, I can look at it, okay, Fight Pass and Fox Sports 2, it's $25. Up here in Alaska, that's almost 2 lunches in a month. So I shit that out pretty much every day. Every two and a half days, I'm shitting that out. So it's not a money thing. I make decent money up here. I haven't always, but now I am. But still, I mean, $75 to watch this event, that just...
It's the principle, Brian.
It is. It really is. It's becoming too much. It really is becoming too much. And
What did you say? 4 fights, $50 odd dollars? $55 was it? 4 fights?
$50 plus taxes and what all that shit is.
Ridiculous.
That's it. Yes, there's other broadcasting on Fox Sports 2 that I could watch, so it's not just the UFC. but I ain't watching it now. So that's the only reason why I'd be
Well,
getting it.
I'm going to put it to you this way, Brian. I pay £15 a month, and I get all them UFCs, the pay-per-views, the Fox Sports, the fight nights. I'm not too sure about you, Greg. Is it the same in Scotland?
You don't get Fight Pass, so.
Yeah, no, not Fight Pass, but Brian paid $50 for one main card pay-per-view. I got that last night as part of the deal for £15 a month.
Yeah.
Which is what, about $22 or something? So
yeah, that's the same.
he's got a fair point there. There's something not balancing out right when it comes to the countries, you know. We all should sort of pay roughly the same. I know the UFC is trying to break into the UK market. Well, it already sort of has. It's been a big agenda of theirs for many years to get into the UK market. But damn, don't torture your US fans, you know, your base. Don't make them pay over the odds like that. That's ridiculous. Now, Derek, I know you're in Canada. How much do you pay for a UFC?
Well, for the main card, it was $65 in HD, $10 for Fight Pass, and then I don't even know how much the sports package costs to get Sportsnet. So that's probably another $15 or so. So I'm paying about a little bit more than Brian's paying. But I also split pay-per-view costs with a couple of friends. So it's really only costing me $10 or so to order the pay-per-view.
Well, that's the thing, though. Not everybody can do that, you know?
Yeah, and that's what sucks. Like, a lot of, MMA's still not really that popular where everybody has friends who like it. I have three friends who consistently
I have no
watch.
friends who like UFC. No smart comments there, Greg.
I thought you were just going to say you had no friends.
And he still managed to get it in. Okay, let's move on from this and over to round 2. Myles Johny versus Diego Sanchez. Now, the UFC put a lot of stock in Myles Johny for this event and gave him a slot on a stacked main card against the always entertaining Diego Sanchez. Derek, give us your thoughts on the bout between Myles Johny and Diego Sanchez last night.
Well, first off, I had Diego to win that fight. I really thought Myles Johny was just going to, end up fighting Diego's fight there, and he didn't. He looked awesome. He did exactly what he had to do to beat Diego Sanchez, and he made Diego look bad, the former title contender. I think this is a really, really good win for Myles Johny. This is going to get him a big fight in his next one.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you too. I noticed that Diego Sanchez struggled because Myles Johny wasn't that aggressive with him. He was very tactical, kept his range, used his jab, used his movement, and I noticed Diego Sanchez, he struggled. So that's a big hole in his game. He needs people to come at him aggressively so he can counter and get into that brawling style. He really struggles when somebody slows down the pace on him.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know. I think Diego Sanchez's time is anywhere near a top fighter's done. From now on, I think the UFC should just book him against guys who are gonna, war with him.
I still want to see that Conor McGregor fight. I think that'd be awesome. If you book that in Ireland, fuck, that'd be huge.
That would be a pretty awesome fight, I think, too.
Well, I know they're supposed to be doing Cole Miller versus Conor McGregor, but fuck, they've got to give it to Sanchez. But obviously, will they risk Conor McGregor going up to lightweight? But that's for another show. Greg, give us your thoughts on the bout between Myles Johny and Diego Sanchez last night.
Well, going into the fight, Johny was a favourite, which I think a lot of people found a bit strange. But I took Johny to win the fight. I thought he would win the fight, simply because Diego doesn't know any other way to fight than just to brawl. And if you don't brawl with him, he can't win. And you've seen that in the first 2 rounds with Gilbert Melendez. Now, Diego came out of that fight thinking that he could beat Melendez if the fight went on. No, he couldn't. Because Gilbert wouldn't have fought the way he did in the 3rd round if there was 2 more rounds. The way to beat Diego is pretty easy. Notice. Watch what Gilbert did in the first 2 rounds. Keep Diego at range. Don't get inside. Don't be stupid. And Johny is good. I thought he was good enough to do that, and he was. He didn't give Diego any chance, really.
Seems like the fighters are starting to get Diego Sanchez's number here and figuring him out.
Yeah, definitely. he's always capable of picking up a big win, and one thing he's definitely capable of is putting on an exciting fight.
Yeah.
But he, like Derek just said, I think Diego's future is just having some fun fights now, because he'll not make the top 10 of any division anymore.
Yeah, because the biggest black mark on his record was the John Hathaway, really. That was the only not a big name fighter to defeat him, really.
He's showed the way as well.
Yeah, he's got a decent name in his own right, but I put that down to John Hathaway being bigger than Diego and just managed to, because obviously John Hathaway did rugby back in the day, so sort of the same as wrestling. He knows how to tackle guys down to the ground, use his timing correct. I just felt that he waited for Diego to come in aggressively, tackle him down to the ground, and just use his size and strength. So I didn't really put it on Diego too much. But now Myles Jury was more around Diego Sanchez's weight in a way. He's a bit taller, a bit lankier, but there was the same sort of weight. So obviously you can beat him without the size and strength too. Just pure technique and a good game plan. Brian, what did you make of the bout between Myles Jury and Diego Sanchez last night?
I think Diego's kind of following the footsteps of maybe a Leonard Garcia and Vanderlei Silva. Just guys that just throw wild, and they can train technique all day long, but as soon as they get hit, it's gone. I'm still waiting for Vanderlei Silva to throw a straight punch. I've been waiting for 10 years. I don't believe I'm ever going to see it. And for me, I feel Diego Sanchez lost his last 4 fights because I don't give him the Gomi win. I thought Gomi won that fight. So, in my eyes, it's 4 losses in a row for the guy. So what is it? I mean, I know he's a tough one guy, so Dana's always going to hold him in a high regard and give him every possible chance in the world. But you guys are right. It's entertaining fights. Let's not look at technique. Let's just throw some entertaining fights out there. I don't like the Conor fight. I think he's above that. Conor is, and it doesn't get Conor any close to a title shot. It's an out-of-weight division fight. So I don't know. I don't have a clue where you put him. Maybe a Nate Diaz fight. It might be kind of fun to watch. I think Nate Diaz freaking picks him apart, but I don't know. He doesn't draw a lot of interest. It's a guy that's probably had one of the biggest hearts in the UFC. Just not a whole lot of skill and talent to go with it, I guess.
I love to see the Nick Diaz rematch.
Yeah, but Nick's fighting at 170 now for the most part, and I don't want Diego to go up and get beat.
What was it? It might have been a countdown show. Diego was talking about cutting weight, and how he wasn't a lightweight. He didn't feel the same at lightweight, but obviously went back up to welterweight, got his ass whooped, and then went back down again. So, yeah. But he said he struggled there, and I believe he did. I would like to see him go up to welterweight, and if he loses there, then he loses. He just looks too withdrawn for me at lightweight.
But he's not a guy that comes in strong and then gets weak at the end of fights. He's just the opposite. I mean, I think Rogan even said last night, typically his third round's his best round. So I wouldn't see that from a fighter that's not making weight very well.
Well, let's talk about the man himself, Myles Jury. He's undefeated, and obviously he's racking up some big names now. Michael Johnson, now Diego Sanchez. What did you make of his performance last night, Derek?
He looked awesome. This kid is a future top 10er. And what's he, like 23 years old?
Is he 25?
25.
He's 25.
Yeah, the kid, either way, is so young. He's going to get so good in the next few years. I love watching him fight, too. I liked him on Tough. I was shocked he didn't win that season of Tough. I thought he would run through those guys.
Well, you mentioned his age. He looked very... I don't know how nervous he was last night. He looked very calm and composed in the cage against Diego, considering the card and how stacked the card was. And, against Diego, it was a big fight for him.
Yeah, he was the middle fight on a pretty good main card. Probably a good 600,000 people or so watched him fight, at least. And the only time he looked nervous was, the post-fight speech with Joe Rogan. He looked a little nervous to me there, but during the fight, he was calm, composed. He just looked like a stud.
See, for me, he has amazing reactions. He has good timing. He was working the jab last night, but he didn't show like any amazing boxing combos for me last night. He was mixing it up pretty well, changing his stances, kept Diego at bay. Good timing. Caught Diego coming in beautifully. Damn, did he time him perfect last night a good few times. But the thing for me though, I think he relies on his reach advantage a little bit too much. Now, Brian mentioned Nate Diaz going against Diego Sanchez. I'd like to see Nate Diaz face Myles Johny next, and just see how good he is when he faces somebody the same size as him in height and reach advantage. Well, Greg, what do you make of Myles Johny and his performance last night?
Much the same as you guys. He was impressive, but I don't think Diego is ever going to cause him too much trouble. As much as people rate Diego as a great fighter, I think he is too wild. He is too non-technical, and Jury is very technical. And Jury just used everything he had to just nullify Sanchez throughout the whole fight. As for where he goes from here, yeah, he definitely deserves a top 10 guy next. He's beaten Michael Johnson, who's been talked of as being top 10.
Yeah, he's on a roll.
So he's on a much the same kind of roll as Michael Johnson. Those are two guys coming into the top 10 looking for a fight to really push themselves forward now.
Well, you never know. Could rematch them. Be interesting.
Not very long ago they fought, and they're both moving up. I would knock one of them back down. I think they keep separate fights for now.
Okay, Brian, give us your thoughts on Myles Johny's performance last night.
He's a fucking bum. He looked good. He fought a smart fight. You can't get drawn into Diego, Leonard, Vanderlei type of fight, and he did just that. The only problem I had with him is after the fight, he said it was an easy fight. No, if it's an easy fight, you finish the guy in the first round.
Oh, I think he lost the first round.
Yeah, you don't go fight 15 minutes with an easy fight. So that is the only downfall I had. I'm not trying to be arrogant, but it was a pretty easy fight. That's pretty fucking arrogant. So I don't.
It wasn't like he dominated him. Now, if it was like a Gunnar Nelson over that Russian guy last week, then fine, you could say that. But it was far from dominant.
Exactly. So it wasn't an easy fight, and Diego doesn't have the hardest hands. He's a punches and bunches type of guy. So, but he looked good. Yeah, he looked good. He fought a very smart fight, and he's going to continue to come up. So I don't know. Maybe a Nate Diaz. I hate throwing a Diaz in any fight, just because you can't rely on them. They seem to think they shit gold and they deserve title shots every other fight. So I don't know.
Oh, did you see Nick Diaz giving the fingers at the weigh-ins and taking a piss at Johny Hendricks when he missed the weight?
I guess that's what he thinks he has to do to earn a title shot now, is because he's not doing it in the cage anymore. Maybe he has to try to do it outside the cage.
I was so excited about Nick Diaz when he was, coming over from Strikeforce. He had the belt. He was on such a roll over there. He was just smashing top guys. And he's done nothing but disappoint me. Apart from the BJ Penn win, he's done nothing but disappoint me. And he lost me a lot of money against Condit. Okay, let's move things over to round 3 and the main event for UFC 171, Johny Hendricks versus Robbie Lawler. Now, Johny Hendricks was declared the new UFC welterweight champion last night after defeating ruthless Robbie Lawler via unanimous decision. Now, Robbie nearly snatched it as he made a comeback in rounds 3 and rounds 4, but ultimately ended up losing the 5th and final round to Johny Hendricks, which cost him the fight. Derek, give us your thoughts on the main event between Johny Hendricks and ruthless Robbie Lawler.
I could not believe how close that fight was, considering Johny Hendricks was a 4-1 favorite coming in. Robbie Lawler beat up Johny Hendricks for about half of that fight, and I loved seeing it. I wanted Robbie to win that fight so bad. But Johny Hendricks, his stand-up is good. Like, he stood with GSP pretty good. Robbie almost made him look bad in those 3rd and 4th rounds, though, especially when he hurt him.
I really wanted Robbie to win, like, beyond belief. I don't know why, because maybe because he started off his career in the UFC. Basically, he was, he's been around the UFC forever. He left, he went to Elite XC, Strikeforce, and he sort of stuck around the game. And he came back. I just really wanted him to take the title. It would have been really nice to see, but props to Hendricks sticking in there and taking the punishment. Well, Greg, give us your thoughts on the main event between Johny Hendricks and Robbie Lawler.
Obviously, it was a good fight. Well worthy of crowning a winner to get the belt. But my problem with the fight, I had one problem with it, and it was Johny Hendricks, after the GSP fight, he was willing to take a chance again. This is a guy in the 5th round who, instead of trying to finish Lawler, took him down and lay on him for a bit at the end of the fight. Now, what made him think he was going to win the fight just at that point? That winning the last round was going to win him the fight? Did it never cross his mind for 1 second that he may have lost the 3rd round on a 10-8?
Yeah.
So he was willing to take a chance instead of giving it everything again. And you'd think he'd learn after the last one how disappointed he was.
Do you remember what he said at the post-fight press conference when he faced GSP? He said, "I'll never, ever let that happen again."
Yeah, exactly. And he did. He put it in doubt again. And the one other thing that comes back to me from the GSP fight, he kept going on about how, look at the damage. I clearly beat GSP up. Well then, in the same respect, Robbie beat the shit out of you then, because your face was far worse off at the end of that fight than Robbie Lawler's was. So my biggest problem with the fight was just that Hendricks didn't give it everything he could have gave. He took a chance and he could have lost it by doing that again.
Well, the thing is now, they've seen his weakness. Because, let's be honest here, he's got to now fend off Robbie Lawler's American top teammates, He's got to face off Lombard now, Tyrone Woodley. So they know how to take him now. They know that Robbie's pushed him to the brink and hurt him. Now, I believe that Woodley and Lombard are better than Robbie Lawler. I could be wrong, but that's just in my opinion. So he's in for some tough fights in the next couple of defences of his title. That's for sure. Especially if he faces these ATT guys. Now, Condit's out of the mix. Jake Shields is out of the mix. I'm just seeing these guys. Okay, Brian, let's get your thoughts on the main event between Johny Hendricks and Robbie Lawler from last night.
Blue stole most of my thunder because I have the exact same issues. For a guy that he felt got screwed, and I think if we go back watch the fight, it was a close fight. It was a hard fight to score. Going into watching last night's fight, round 1 was closer to me than I think what a lot of people had. I didn't see round 1 as a 100% decisive Hendricks round. Round 2 was clear Hendricks. Round 3s and 4 were clear Robbie's, and round 5 for me was clear Hendricks. So I had two rounds each, with the first round being slightly questionable. I wouldn't have been shocked to see guys give round 1 to Lawler, is I guess what I'm saying. And he had Lawler in a lot of trouble. Lawler was in bad shape, and he didn't go for the finish. That really, he kind of GSP'd it. He was content going to the judges. And as Blue said, after the last fight, how smart. You can't be very smart to do that. And he had Robbie in a lot of... He didn't secure the takedown to secure the round. He secured the takedown to secure the fight. And that just wasn't smart. It wasn't smart at all. And I understand the takedowns to win a round, but he already had the round 1, in my opinion. Decisively, he had the round 1. The finish was there. It was really there for him, and he didn't go for it. And that bothers me. That really concerns me about the guy. What I did like is him changing up his punches. Not every punch being 100%, so he had something in the 5th round. That's smart. Throw a 25% punch, throw a 50% punch, then throw a 100% punch. And don't let them know that every punch is going to be a brick every time. Mix it up a little bit so you have a little bit of gas. And Robbie doesn't fight that way. I mean, Robbie throws about probably 80, 90% on damn near every punch, but he had nothing left at the end. And but Robbie impressed me a lot. I didn't think it'd be that close of a fight. I really didn't. And I had said that I think Hendricks is a better UFC champion because he earned it. He's gone through the proper channels and the proper fights to get it. And Robbie was just given the title fight just because situations worked out and timing was perfect for him. But he proved me wrong last night. I think he would have been a worthy champion after last night. He looked really freaking good, and I was surprised. His takedown defense was great until he got tired, and his stand-up was pretty freaking amazing. So it was a good fight, and I was happy to see it, minus the end of the 5th round.
Well, he's the first person to actually hurt Johny Hendricks, if I can recall, because I don't remember anybody hurting Johny Hendricks like that before.
Agreed. I mean, when the 3rd and 4th rounds were scary if you're a Hendricks fan. So.
Okay, moving on to my favourite part of the show, our fighter and fight of the night for UFC 171. Derek, who was your fighter of the night for UFC 171?
My fighter of the night was Justin Scoggins. I love this kid, and I guarantee he's going to be a top 10 flyweight by the end of the year. This kid has talent coming out of his ass.
I hope he doesn't. Greg, who was your fighter of the night?
Not Scoggins for me, although I would have him in the top 10 already. But I thought there was quite a few guys could have been fighter of the night. Hendricks obviously for winning the belt, even though it wasn't the greatest performance. Jury for the win over Diego. Bermudez was good again last night. And on a selfish point, Mr. Whiteford, because he got Scotland's first win in the octagon.
Yeah, I was well shocked with that.
And he broke his shin apparently kicking the guy in the head. So he fought with a broken shin most of the fight.
Sorry, Greg, I wanted him to lose last night for personal reasons. Well, prediction contest reasons.
Yeah. Me too. I went against him and all.
Fucking Derek was teasing me last night, weren't you, on the in-play, eh? Get me right at it. Because obviously it was on Fight Pass. I wasn't watching the Fight Pass, but Derek was doing the in-play. He's like, oh, Pineda's going for submissions. He's really battling out for submission. I'm like, oh, really? I was rubbing my hands and everything.
Well, he did have Pineda did have a really, really nice. He swept and went right for the knee bar. It was beautiful.
Wait. I'll go back onto my fighter of the night.
Oh, shit. Sorry, Greg.
I was about to say, I don't know who it was. Who was Greg?
Hold on. Carry on what you're saying, Greg.
I'll go back onto my fighter of the night, and for me it was Kelvin Gastelum beating Rick Story. That was a big step up for him, and he won that fight quite easily in my opinion. And he's definitely looking like one that could move on. If he can sort out the weight cut a bit, I think he could be really good in the division.
I'm actually going to have to agree with you there, Greg. Kelvin Gastelum's my fight of the night too. Impressive boxing last night. How fucking beautiful was his boxing? And then he got them short little fucking T-Rex legs up in the air and landed some decent head kicks on Story. Absolutely beautiful. And do you know what? He's a savage. He really is. See, we all know wrestling is the best base to have. It showed last night with Hendricks, managed to finish the fight with that takedown and win the fight. But Story's an animal. Story's a good boxer in his own right. He really is. He's got some decent body shots, good combos. But Gastelum was technically on such a better level last night. BJ Penn was known for his boxing. Oh, Gastelum's awesome. He's up there as one of the better boxers in the welterweight division, that's for sure. And you mix that with his wrestling. But he took some good shots from Story too. Story fucking rocked him. And he came back, so not only that, he can actually take a punch. Well, maybe he can't take a punch. He got fucking rocked, but he certainly came back.
He can recover quickly anyway.
Yeah. He impressive fight, Who was your fighter of the night, Brian?
I'm gonna have to go Jake Shields because I loved that. I was so happy watching Jake Shields fight.
Jake Shields, your fighter of the night?
No, but I did enjoy watching him not win.
What about Hector? Hector did the job for you.
No, he did, but I was not overly impressed because Hector's first round was amazing. And his octagon control and takedowns was really good, but he just did nothing when he got on top of the guy. And I'm never going to be as supportive of a guy that secures a takedown to nothing. So my fighter of the night, I think, is the guy that I typically am the most impressed with, and that's got to be Robbie Lawler, because I really did not expect much from him, and he won me over again. I've always liked the guy. I loved the fight with Melvin back in the day, but he really impressed me. So the most. There's other guys that looked great and have more potential down the road, but I did not expect much from Robbie last night. So it's Robbie Lawler is my fighter of the night.
I have to give a quick, brief shout out to Ovins St. Preux last night too. That was a nice finish. And against a submission expert too. Krylov knew what was coming. He was battling hard to, try and get out of that. But beautiful finish by Ovins St. Preux. He's got a well-rounded game, that guy. He's going to be a contender for sure. I'd like to see him get some top 15 guys now. I really would. Okay, let's take it to our fight of the night for UFC 171. Greg, give us your fight of the night.
My fight of the night, well, it should be Hendricks Lawler, but I'm going to go with Andrade and Pennington, the girls' fight. I thought it was a good fight.
That was.
Two of them just got stuck right into each other. I thought it was a really entertaining fight.
Derek, give us your fight of the night.
I'm going to go with Rick Story versus Kelvin Gastelum.
Yeah, me too. For the reasons I basically given the fight of the night, really. Both went at it. It's like these guys must just stick themselves into fucking fourth and fifth gear. They mustn't have any other gears because that's all they seem to fight at. I'd love to see Diego Sanchez fight one of these two guys, really. Maybe a Rick Story, Diego Sanchez. That'd be a good one. But anyway, that's for another day. Brian, what was your fight of the night for UFC 171?
I gotta go Hendricks Lawler. It's the end of the fifth round takes away from it from a little bit, but if Hendricks knocks him out with 30 seconds left, that's one of the best fights of the year. And that's in the running, I think, because that'd have been just amazing. But he chose not to, so it's not going to be there. But just a championship fight, 5 rounds, 2 rounds just going back and forth. That's my fight of the night. It was a fun fight to watch.
Okay, moving on to our 5th and final round. Matchmaking with Derek Love. I will now pass over to Derek, where he will be giving us his fights to make post UFC 171. Take it away, Derek.
Thanks, Gregory. So what I'm going to do here, guys, I'm going to start at the bottom of the main card, and I'm going to go loser, winner, all the way up to the main event, and tell you what fights these guys should be fighting next, and I'm going to do Joe Silva's job a little bit better than he does. First off, we got Nikita Krylov. He got ran over last night. I think he should fight Patrick Cummings. They're both at the very bottom of the ranks at 205. These guys should fight each other, see who keeps their job pretty much. The winner of that fight was Ovin St. Preux, who looked like a complete stud again. I want him to fight the former Strikeforce champion, Rafael Calavante. Next up is Jake Shields, who looked terrible last night. I want him to fight Martin Kampmann. Loser could pretty much be cut if Jake Shields doesn't get cut already. Winner of that fight, Hector Lombard. I would like to see him in a title eliminator with Rory McDonald. Next up, we have Diego Sanchez, who pretty much got beat by a guy who's a relative no-name to most fans. I want him to fight Pat Healy, because I think Pat Healy will fight a good fight against Diego Sanchez. For Myles Jury, I would like to see him fight Joe Lozon. Joe Lozon, to me, is the gatekeeper to the top 10. You beat Lozon, you deserve yourself a top 10 fight. Now, the last 4 fighters on the main card, they all kind of tie into each other. So I want Carlos Condit to fight Robbie Lawler. If Condit isn't going to be out for a long time, I haven't heard anything about his knee injury. And I want Tyron Woodley to fight Johny Hendricks. I think that should be the next title fight. I think, even though it was kind of a freak accident when won Woodley that fight, he looked good, and I think you have to give him the title fight next. But the one wild card in that is if Condit is out, I want Robbie Lawler to fight Nick Diaz.
The rematch, that'd be awesome.
Now, guys, tell me what you think about my matchmaking.
I love the Nick Diaz, Robbie Lawler, that's for sure. That's an amazing one. I've been calling for that for a while now, to be honest with you. It's about time Nick Diaz got in there and got in against a really good striker, a powerful striker. I love to see that. Jake Shields, I don't give a fuck who he fights, to be honest with you. I really wanted him to come over when he was, dominating in Elite XC and Strikeforce, but he's not impressed me whatsoever. I do not get excited. The only thing I was excited for last night was Lombard knocking him out. I personally thought that the blanket was going to come out. It was going to be a double blanket, and it was going to be too much for Hector Lombard last night. But, Hector fought off the blanket, and he actually blanketed the blanket for the third round and somewhat the second. So he gave him a bit of a taste of his own medicine there, really. Knows what his opponents feel like. But, yeah, Hector was coming out strong. He looked like he was going to knock him out in the first, but didn't do it. I don't like to dig at fights a lot because Jake Shields is good at what he does. He really, really is. But, not just him. Same with GSP. I don't care. He's got loads of fans, whatever. He bores me now. I wanted to see somebody beat him. That's why I watched him. I wanted to see somebody beat him. And maybe that's the wrong reasons to watch a fight. We've all got different opinions. There's people who love GSP for what he does. He's athletic. It is what it is.
Of the ones you mentioned, the obvious one, Lombard against Rory, I would definitely go along with that one. And Hendricks Woodley, I think it's the only option, really. It's not the greatest options. I don't think Woodley's really done a great deal to get there, but beating Condit's as good as you can get, so he should be next. Lawler, I'd like to see Lawler face Damian Maia next, personally. I think that would be a better option. Nick Diaz is not going to be coming back to fight Robbie Lawler. He could lose to Lawler. He's only going to come back to fight somebody he's going to guarantee winning against, I think. That he's going to get an easy win and then a title shot. What other ones? Diego Sanchez. Well, I would have Diego Sanchez fight Joe Lozon personally. I think that would be a fun fight. Joe Lozon is nowhere near top 10 anymore. Sanchez is nowhere near top 10. Just put them in together. What else was there? Owen St. Preux. I would have him fight Rashad next. Because Rashad's all over the place just now. And I think a win over Rashad gets him close to a title shot, which is what he is.
I think he deserves it too.
See, to me, I think that's a little too much too soon. You're throwing him into a top 5 guy when he's never even beat a top 15 guy before. That's why I like the Calavante fight. A guy who's sitting right around 15, between 15 and 10. Get him a good win there, and then he can fight Rashad.
I think he can beat Cavalcanti, to be honest with you. He's a heavy striker, but he seems to come in out of shape. But then again, you've seen recently, he's always dangerous. He looks out of shape, he looks gassed, but damn, he can wrestle, he can strike heavy. So maybe that is a good fight too. I just think you can see in events that he has the talent. Sometimes it's not about beating the top 10 guy. That's why Jimmy Manuwa got pushed up as quick as he did. You could see the talent way before. You're like, this guy's got something, and you can see it in events. He's got something.
All right, Brian, what do you think of my matchmaking?
I like it. I agree with Woodley getting next because he has the higher quality win and the most recent. Fluke win or not, it was still his takedown that injured the knee. I think Condit's done for 6 months. I think that was an ACL or a major ligament because he's not one to quit. And you could see the knee kind of dislocate as he pivoted. That's not good. That's something torn in my opinion. So I think Condit's out of the equation right now. And I get the memory of an old guy, so it's who'd you have Robbie fighting?
Well, I had him fighting Carlos Condit or Nick Diaz.
I think the Nick Diaz is a fun fight, but I just can't count on Nick Diaz. So I'd probably agree with the Damian Maia fight. I do like that fight, and Nick Diaz is just a drama queen now. Both Diazes have turned into drama queens, and it's just. I gotta hope people don't consider that fighting bashing. I think I can put a lot of facts to the table of how much drama they have. So If he's in the cage, I love watching him, but it's the getting him into the cage is just a fucking nightmare. And so, no, I think most of those I'm happy with. I really am. Patrick Cummings, need to see him against another guy, see what he has to offer. That was not a fair fight for him, and still major props for the guy for fighting DC. But it's good. Make him happen. I don't think Hendricks took any major damage in that fight, so 4 to 6 months. Let's see Woodley in there and see if Woodley has a gas tank to go 25 minutes. I doubt it, but I like to be proven wrong. He's looked amazing. So he throws a right that very few others throw. I mean, that's a scary freaking big ass right he throws. So it'd be fun to see.
Okay, that's matchmaking with Derek Love. Good stuff there, Derek.
Thanks, Greg.
Okay, that's a wrap for today's show. As always, check out MMAcript.com. From MMA Crips Fighting Talk, thank you for watching.